everyone, so today is another quite nice day. The sun is kind of peeking through the clouds and I'm going for a walk. I'm meeting up with my friend. We're going to walk a dog, and not her dog, someone else's dog. We're going to go walk a dog and then I'll see where the day takes me. I think we're going to have some lunch as well once she's picked up a little one from the nursery. So we're going to have some lunch and then I'll be doing my own thing after that. So today I felt like testing out Gaia from Centauri Perfumes. So there is my sample of Gaia. I've just sprayed one wrist with 2 sprays at the moment, which was literally 3 minutes ago. So I brought you outside to smell it in the fresh air. This fragrance is inspired by Mother Earth, and what better place to smell it than outdoors, right? Now the thing with this perfume, when I first spray it, and it, for most I think of the duration from memory, is it reminds me of a very bizarre childhood memory of mine. Now I can't believe I'm going to share this with you, but I have shared it occasionally in the past with people publicly. And that was, as a very small girl, I used to eat concrete. So what I would do is I'd go to the back of the house and I would scrape out the very dry concrete that was kind of like easy to scrape out between the bricks, and I would eat it. I'd chew it, crunchy it in my mouth. Probably why I needed so much work on my teeth recently, but I would crunch it in my mouth, and it has this particular taste, and that translates as the chalky smell that I get from Gaia, which I really enjoy that aspect of the fragrance. And I do not know how he's done it, what that is, whether that's to do with the ambergris accord or what, I have no clue. But there's this beautiful chalky concrete dust like effect that is certainly there right now, and I'm pretty sure it stays throughout most of the wearing. But that is not what the fragrance is all about. That's one tiny little aspect. So let me get more comfortable. So the notes on Gaia: green leaves, dry earth, honey, tuberose, rose, lavender, orris butter, apple, cedarwood, wormwood, patchouli and ambergris. There is how the bottle will look. The bottle's a 30ml and it's £98. Oh, I just sat on a wet chair, so that's fun. I just sat down to kind of like get more comfortable. So with this fragrance, you get the honey. It's not the same honey that I just smelt in Bee by Zoologist. It's much less sweet, and it feels like it's completely connected with the tuberose, but the tuberose doesn't have that effect of feeling like a blousy, slutty woman or brassy woman. It doesn't have that. Tuberose to me can come off like a massive bouquet of a million florals that overwhelm me and make me feel like it's kind of like a trying too hard smell, and I don't get that with this. I think the tuberose is mingling with the lavender, perhaps maybe the orris butter or something, and it just feels much more understated, although it is there. There's a freshness here. I do get an outdoorsy feel, but it doesn't feel like it's an exact translation of being out in a field or anywhere else outdoors. It definitely feels almost otherworldly. It's sweet, but it's certainly not too sweet, and not in any kind of sugary or gourmand way. I don't really smell anything like vanilla or sugar. I think the sweetness probably comes from the honey and the florals. I think we're going to leave it there because my arm's aching. I'm going to head out on my walk. I'll come back to you. I forgot to show you me spraying the perfume on my actual self, and I thought I would share the screen with Sweetie here. She doesn't have a lot to say, so let's spray it. Couple there, couple there, couple in the middle, and I'll do my other wrist off camera. See if you can hear her purring. See you in a bit. Hello. Well, so I've had a little bit of a walk with my friend and the neighbour's dog. And that's Gizmo. And my friend Sally, she has just popped to the nursery to pick up a little girl, Esther, and she also has the other dog with her. But what we're talking about today is Perfume. And now this has kind of the floral honey aspect has calmed down. It still has that mineral thing that reminds me of concrete dust. It reminds me of my childhood eating concrete. But there is a slightly funky element. So this doesn't have real ambergris in it. Gizmo, stop it. This doesn't have real ambergris in it. It has an ambergris accord that Peter has made from synthetics. And the bizarre thing is, I find it quite funky at this point. It reminds me a little bit of kind of a fecal-ish, no, not exactly like smelling a big lump of poo, but there is this fecal or body secretion, shall we say, and of either a human or an animal body secretion note that is slightly off-putting only if you go up close like this, and it forms part of the whole composition. It doesn't take over the composition, it's just there up close and personal. If you're smelling it from around, then you don't get anything funky, or I certainly don't, and the few times I've tried it I haven't. From a distance it's fine, up close at this stage there's just a funky element, and I thought it was real ambergris, but it's not. It's something else. It's to do with the possibly the ambergris accord, maybe it's to do with the orris butter, who knows. I feel like the floral elements are now slightly dialed down. It's a much smoother, much less in your face, and more calming, a very calming composition, this one. It doesn't feel like a natural outdoors experience. So if you're thinking it's going to smell like a Jo Malone fragrance where they replicate certain things outdoors, trees, flowers, etc., it doesn't feel like that at all. It feels like an abstract interpretation. I don't really get the green leaves, but I'm starting to get some vetiver. Can't remember if vetiver is listed. Let's double check. I feel like I'm getting some vetiver now, and it's not listed, but we do have patchouli and cedarwood, which can both be kind of dry and earthy, and I think that's probably what I'm getting now. So it's becoming more earthy in a, rather than just a mineral chalky concrete, we're also now starting to get some woodsy earthy features to it. So that's where we are an hour in. Excuse my bra, it's grey, should be white. Deal with it. Hello, I am back, and it's 4:30 in the afternoon, which means the fragrance has been on my skin for 5 hours now, and I thought it was time I gave you an update. So now the fragrance is, first of all, it's been projecting lightly around me the whole day. So I went for a walk with my friend and her dogs, and then we went for some lunch. We drove to the pub. She got pulled over for speeding, but she got away with it. Let's not go there. She wasn't speeding too fast, but yeah, she got pulled over by the police, which was fun, on the way to the pub. Then we went to the pub. I had steak and salad, and Sally had a burger, and a little Esther had some cucumber, tomato, and other bits and pieces, some peas, which she quite likes playing with and throwing them on the floor, etc, etc. But she had already had lunch, so that's fine. So I was getting light wafts of it all around me throughout all of this. It's not really beast mode, but it definitely has quite a good presence. But I think the thing is, it's quite translucent, so it's definitely really noticeable, but it's not thick and heavy. So it's not like your Tom Ford Black Orchid or your Alien eau de parfum. It's not as strong and beastly as that, but it's also no wallflower. It is noticeable, but it's just got translucency, so it's not too much. So in my opinion, the projection spot on, that's how I like a fragrance to behave. What I've noticed is the honey and the tuberose combo has kind of almost gone. If it's there, it's only very light. I do still get some of that concrete dust that I got in the opening, but it's finally taking more of a back seat, and I think that's my favourite part of the fragrance. I really wish I knew what was causing it. Could be to do with the orris, could be the ambergris accord, but it's something that's kind of dusty, mineral, chalky, clean. It's really, really nice, and I really enjoy that. Now it's much more woodsy and drier and more earthy, has a more natural feel now. There's something a little bit sweet and resinous in here though, but it's not a strong aspect of it. It's just a part of what's going on. There is still a little bit of that honey and tuberose, but as I say, it's really taken a back seat now. It's a really difficult one for me to describe. I felt very at ease describing Dendera. I felt like I was more au fait with what was going on in there. They were more the kind of things that I'm used to exploring in fragrances. This is a really unusual fragrance. It's not my usual kind of fragrance. I generally stay away from tuberose, and I tend to go for fragrances that are either heavy with gourmand notes or resin notes, and this is neither of those. There is a sweetness in here, but it is not a gourmand sweetness. It is definitely coming from either the florals or the honey. So there's no added sugar here, there's no added, well, I don't really get an added vanilla, although there could be a tiny bit of vanilla in the background, but there's definitely nothing edible going on here. I do not feel like eating my wrist. It's really unusual. It makes me think of big flint stones, not Fred Flintstone. Yabba dabba doo, Wilma! No, not Fred Flintstone, but big stones, you know, flint. So like the one that can have jagged edges and it's like grey and cold. That kind of, it's making me think of big flint stones. It's making me think of chalk, concrete, dry earth, dry woods, chopped dry woods. It's very dry. It's almost like it's a tribute to Mother Earth, but actually it's almost like this is the earth that we've fucked up and it's kind of dead. And that sounds really horrible, and I don't mean that it's a bad perfume, but it's just bringing to mind more of a barren land rather than a rich and moist land. I guess it's just the dry woods accords, making me think of trees that have been knocked over and left in place for a long time and they're very dry. But it does retain some of the sweetness from the honey and the florals. So it's a very complex beast, very difficult for me to explain, particularly as I'm not used to these kind of fragrances. And I feel like I'm not really doing it justice, but I think it's a really good creation. It's interesting, it's multifaceted, it's got development, it's got projection, it's got longevity. It smells well crafted and well blended. There's no jagged edges. Everything moves along very smoothly on your skin. And the chalky concrete dust note, if I could isolate that, I would absolutely just smother myself in that. I love that. Whatever the hell that is, I love it. I think that's all I'm going to say for now, and then I'll come back to you with one more update when we are at the final stages. Right then, final update on Gaia. It is now 6:30 in the evening, 6:30 p.m, which means I've been wearing it for 7 hours. I have since been for a little nap, just a little lie down, and just potted around the house for a little bit, and now it's time to give you my final thoughts. So it still has presence on my skin. I'm not sure if it's projecting anymore. There's a little bit of sillage still, so this is about the point I would probably want to respray. Although it is still there, I would probably respray about this point in. The dry down, far dry down now, is really to me about a dry woodiness with a hint of sweetness. I said earlier that there's no vetiver listed, and I still feel like there is a little bit of vetiver in here. It reminds me a little bit of the dry down of Peter's other creation, Dendera, but not as intensely vetivery, not as intensely dry and woodsy, but it feels like it has some of that here, but with this slightly sexy, almost skin-like smell. So it's kind of like a musky, salty skin now. It's kind of, it's like you are coming up for needing a wash. You're not fresh out the shower, but you are not dirty. You're not a homeless person who hasn't had a shower in days or weeks. Absolutely not. But it smells like there's just this hint of this slightly animalic skin scent, natural skin scent. Not bad, not mega clean, just human skin. Yeah, and it's kind of sexy actually. If you smelt it on someone at this point, you might not know they're wearing a fragrance. You might think that's their natural odour, and that their natural odour is really quite nice and sexy. But that is off my wrist, and as I said in previous videos, my wrists don't retain fragrance as well as this area around here. So round here I get more woodsiness, less of the sexy skin muskiness. Yes, yeah, slightly dry, woodsy, almost incensey, but not salty, woodsy. That's kind of what I've got now. So that is my journey through the fragrance called Gaia. I think it's a really good fragrance. Hello, sweeties. Can you hear her? What's the matter? Do you want to be in the video? Come here then. Come on. Come on, I'll pick you up. Come on then. Oh, here she is. Oh. So that's my thoughts on Gaia. I think it's a really well crafted fragrance. I would never in a million years think that it was necessarily a self-taught perfumer. It feels to me like Peter really knows what he's doing. The fragrance has a really wonderful development, and I think it's excellent. Not my genre of fragrances, so I probably wouldn't be putting that on my buy list, but if you like that kind of thing, then it may well be perfect for you. That is all I'm saying. I'm now going to have a shower because I'll be doing a live stream tonight, so I'm going to shower so I can start to wear the fragrances I'll be talking about in the live stream, which is solstice scent. So I'll be wearing on my skin a few of those whilst I do a live stream, and we'll be chatting about those. So I will see you soon.